Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game we all love each and every day. So please lock it in. And this is our Wednesday night call-in show, talking spring football with you. And getting us started is Florida football, of course, headed up by Dan Mullen. We got David Waters on the line from Gators Breakdown. David, how you doing tonight?
Good, Mark. How about you?
I'm good. Welcome in. And so Florida hit the practice field, let's see, last week, correct?
Yep, last Thursday, about a month earlier than they normally do. Of course, nobody did last year, or not many teams did last year before the pandemic canceled everything. So Florida, Dan Mullen had some good reasons for it. He said, look, without travel for recruiting, they were able to evaluate all the film from last year on a faster pace because you're in the office. All your recruiting is done on Zoom and virtually. So they're in the office. They were able to do their evaluation from last season. They were ready to hit the field. And then he also says, this helps these players a good bit because now starting in mid-February, they basically have an extra month to go back and evaluate the film. The coaches have that extra month to evaluate the film, and the players can watch themselves also for 4 or 5 weeks longer than other programs out there. So, Florida's got a lot of change on both sides of the ball. Coaching changes on defense, a lot of philosophical change on offense. So any tape that these players can go out there and watch it themselves and not of somebody else, like they had to do last year if you were a freshman and haven't got to play. Mark, I mean, there's 45 of the 77 players on the roster haven't went through a spring practice for Florida. Kaiir Elam, one of the best cornerbacks in the SEC, one of the best cornerbacks in the nation, he's going into his third season at Florida. This is his first spring practice. He was a normal year early. He was not an early enrollee in the class of 2019, so he played as a freshman in this 2019 season. Didn't get spring practice last year, so this is his third season of college football, and this is his first spring practice. So he lets you kind of know the weirdness of it. So good reasons for the Gators to start early.
David, they've been on the field for roughly a week, and I know that. To try to get any kind of information out of these spring practices, basically you need to be majoring in espionage at this point. It seems like they become, further and further locked down type situations. But if we heard anything, any inklings of any news or information out of spring practice?
Mark, we know about the change on offense. So that change on offense is apparent. DeMarcus Bowman, a 5-star transfer running back from Clemson at Florida, he's impressing early on. Now, he's not taking the first team reps. Of course, he's the new guy. He's going to have to earn his way to pass Dameon Pierce and Malik Davis. But it's apparent early on that at least with the second and third stringers on the roster, he's kind of pulling away from those guys. And look, we probably know it's only a matter of time. If he's going to live up to his 5-star billing, it's only a matter of time before he's going to be the guy at running back. But of course, all the questions, he was the big name coming in. But of course, all the philosophical changes because of the quarterback position and Emory Jones out there running this offense, and just because of players like Emory Jones and a running back stable that's going to now include a 5-star like DeMarcus Bowman. It's going to be a run focused offense. And that's not to say Emory Jones can't pass or won't pass. He will, but he's going to base the offense is going to be based off the run. It's going to be based off his own read. It's going to be based off of RPO. So, this is an important spring for Emory Jones in the leadership for him. He's been on campus. This is his 4th year now. He knows the offense. Not a lot of newness as far as he goes in this offense, but there is some newness with the offense being led by him. So, look, you're not going to take the full leadership role as through spring practice, but it starts here. And look, you got to go win ball games. And look, we'll see what type of leader he is. Nobody's going to be the wear your emotion on your sleeve, Tim Tebow, rah leader. Not everybody's that type. Kyle Trask was a different type of leader. His play spoke for itself and led that way. So we'll see how Emory Jones does. But early indications are we'll see the change on offense. They're figuring out the change. With a young wide receiver core who lost a lot last year, and a bevy of running backs coming back. So the change there on offense, they'll have to figure out some things on the offensive line. They're probably still behind the 8 ball a bit, but you don't expect major improvement through 3-4 practices. It's going to take some time there. So that's as far as the offense. Defense, of course, a lot of change, Mark, especially on the back end with new coaches. And Wesley McGriff comes from Auburn. Some already good reviews from him. For defense, Mark, it's going to be back to basics. Can you tackle? Can you communicate? That's the big things. This spring is going to be big on basics for the Florida defense after you saw that performance last year. So that's kind of the inkling early on for spring practice on the defensive side of the ball, is getting back to tackling, getting back to technique. Probably the T's, Mark: tackling, technique, and turnovers. You get all those things, this Florida defense will be better, and that's exactly what they're working on.
We got David Waters on the line from Gators Breakdown, so you can join him right here on YouTube. Just search Gators Breakdown, or go to your favorite audio platform, and again, search Gators Breakdown. It's a great read on Florida football, no doubt, each and every week, typically multiple times a week with David and the rest of the staff there. So you're talking a lot about Emory Jones. There's no way in the world that Anthony Richardson gets a shot at this job, a legitimate shot.
Not right offhand. I mean, if he's the guy eventually, I won't say I'm surprised, but I mean, this is Emory Jones' 4th year. Dan Mullen doesn't like playing inexperienced quarterbacks. He grooms his guys, Mark. I mean, that's the history says it. History proves it. He doesn't throw guys out there before they're ready. And Anthony Richardson didn't go through a spring last year. He was on camp in the fall, got some playing time in the Cotton Bowl as well. But he needs some more experience. He needs to grow a little bit. So for all the talk of a changing offense and going from Kyle Trask to Emory Jones or Anthony Richardson or whatever, should we really be worried about a Dan Mullen quarterback? I mean, he made Felipe Franks into something. I mean, so I've likened it to this, Mark, and Emory Jones in the quarterback situation. At least this Florida offense would be a very similar on the floor. The worst it will be is a Nick Fitzgerald-led Dan Mullen offense, like we saw at Mississippi State. That's going to be this offense at its worst. They can be better than that. And the spring's instrumental in getting all those pieces and building upon at least that floor.
Yeah, he is the guy that turned Felipe Franks from a 1-to-1 TD to interception guy, like 9-to-8, that first year starting, to 24-to-6, I think was the ratio the next season. So you can say what you will about Felipe Franks, and he certainly gains a lot of criticism across the SEC and the nation for his play at Florida and now Arkansas, but he was a much better quarterback that second starting year, no question about that. You brought up 5 stars, and I immediately thought of Eric Gilbert. So is there any way to make a comparison about a young man who caught 35 passes, 5 touchdowns at LSU last year, despite their issues at quarterback? So they had all sorts of quarterback struggles and inexperience. He still caught 35 balls there, and what Kyle Pitts was able to do during his NFL audition, and any comparison between the two players?
I think there's some market, of course. That's what Florida was able to sell him. And Tim Brewster and Kyle Pitts was instrumental himself in the recruitment of Eric Gilbert. Now, we'll see what happens there. He's not taking part in spring practice, Mark. He won't be enrolling until May. There's some question there with him transferring from LSU, transferring in conference. Maybe some grade issues as well, that if he'll even be eligible for Florida in the 2021 season. So a lot to figure out there. And if he's going to be available to play in the 2021 season. So, but that's exactly what they were able to sell him on. I mean, even with the quarterback change, Florida was able to sell, hey, you may not have Kyle Trask throwing you the ball, or a quarterback like Kyle Trask, but you're going to have Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson, Carlos Del Rio, Jalen Kitna on the roster these next couple of years. And they were still able to sell him on a vision of being used similar to Kyle Pitts. And look, if this Florida offense and that run game is working like most fans and a lot of pundits expect it to, there's going to be a lot of one-on-one coverage out there trying to stop this Florida run game. It's going to leave the passing game open as long as these quarterbacks prove that they can go out there and throw the ball. If that's the case, there's going to be a lot of one-on-one matchups for these receivers and these tight ends. These hybrid tight ends are built like receivers and could go out there and play a power style of receiving. So that's what they were able to sell him on. And for Florida's sake, you hope you get him eligible for the 2021 season.
David, what is the positional group that needs to take the biggest strides in the next month?
Offensive line, of course, Mark. We've seen the issues there. Florida running the ball lately the last couple of years. I think it does get better just because of the philosophical change. And look, when Emory Jones come in the last couple of years to run the ball as a quarterback, Florida, everybody in the stadium knew a run was coming. Everybody knew the offensive line struggled blocking for the running backs. Emory Jones still averaged 6.4 yards a carry these last couple of years there. So just a style in offense, I think, helps. And they'll be trained for it in spring and fall camp coming up for it. There's going to be some improvement there. How big improvement, I think, is the question. They will be better. They got to figure out their starting five and their next 2 or 3 deep there to feel pretty comfortable about the offensive line. But they'll be better. Then, of course, on the other side of the ball, it starts in the secondary. All the communication issues Florida had. You got to find a cornerback that you can feel pretty confident in opposite Kaiir Elam there. There's Jason Marshall, the 5-star early enrollee who's on campus. He's impressed early so far. Can he be that guy opposite, or is a guy who's already been on campus? And then safety, Trey Dean returned. This is the first time he'll be able to say he's been able to play the same position in back-to-back years. That's going to be big for this Gator defense and Trey Dean playing that safety role there. So Kaiir Elam, Trey Dean will be your leaders back there. I think you point to, and all the communication issues, all the coaching changes back there in the secondary have got to be fixed. It starts with those new coaches. It starts with Trey Dean and Kaiir Elam, guys who went through it a whole lot last year. So offensive line and the secondary for Florida, that's the 2 biggest positions that have to be fixed for Florida to go and compete with Georgia to win the SEC East and go play in Atlanta.
Our guy George in the live chat, a big Gator fan, David, is suggesting that the NCAA institute a rule that shoe throwing is only a 5-yard penalty, and that would ensure a win. I'm sure you've heard way too many jokes on all that, but George diving in with another one right there. And David, we're also going to take it very light and easy on Dan Mullen tonight. No Dan Mullen questions outside of just running the offense. We're going to leave him alone for this time. David and I, if you want to hear the Dan Mullen criticism and discussion, certainly catch our segments over with Dave over the last month of 6 weeks. And I'm sure over on Gators Breakdown, I'm sure that's almost a weekly conversation is brought up by the live chat over there. So David, we always appreciate it, man.
Mark, he told us last week he learned from a lot of that this past year and what he can get away with and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. He's still got to be himself. He's still got to be comfortable and be himself. But of course, I'm sure he'll be watching what he says out in the public from now on.
Absolutely. David Waters, Gators Breakdown. And again, whether you watch Florida football, if you're just a big college football fan and keep track of the big programs, you got to catch Gators Breakdown here on YouTube. And again, your favorite audio platform as well. David, we always appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good night.
You too.